Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am Anuja Kumar and with me is R.S. Raghu with the evening news. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi emphasizes on creating world-class maritime infrastructure through various reforms to achieve the vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat. At UNHRC, India says OIC has no locus standi to comment on Jammu and Kashmir, slams Pakistan for providing pensions to terrorists. Spectrum auction concludes. Total bids for more than 77,814 crore rupees received. Filing of nominations begins for first phase of assembly elections in Assam and West Bengal. In Gujarat, ruling BJP registers clean sweep by winning all 31 district panchayats. Over 1 crore 48 lakh beneficiaries administered COVID vaccine in the country so far. State Bank of India reduces home loan rates to 6.7%. Merchandise export figures recorded for last month in the country indicate robust growth in foreign trade sector. And in hockey, Indian men's team to take on hosts Germany in second match of European Tour Series in a short while from now. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki doori for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has emphasized on creating world-class maritime infrastructure through various reforms to achieve the vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat. He said India is very serious about growing in the maritime sector and emerging as a leading blue economy of the world. Speaking after inaugurating Maritime India Summit 2021 through video conferencing today, the Prime Minister invited the global investors to come to India and be a part of India's growth trajectory. The 3-day Maritime India Summit 2021 is being organized by the Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways on a virtual platform www.maritimeindiasummit.in.
Mr. Modi said through the focus areas of upgradation of infrastructure, boosting reform journey, India aims to strengthen the vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat. The Prime Minister informed that capacity of major ports have increased from 870 million tons in 2014 to 1,550 million tons now. Megaports with world-class infrastructure are being developed in Vadhavan, Paradeep and Deen Dayal Port in Kandla. The Prime Minister asserted that his government is investing in waterways in a way that was never seen before. Domestic waterways are found to be cost-effective and environment-friendly ways of transporting freight. Mr. Modi said government aims to operationalize 23 waterways by 2030. He announced that steps are also being taken to introduce urban water transport systems in key states and cities such as Kochi, Mumbai, Gujarat and Goa. Prime Minister Modi expressed the desire to share the best practices with the world and also the openness to learning from global best practices. He said, continuing with India's focus on trade and economic linkages with the BIMSTEC and IOR nations, India plans to enhance investment in infrastructure and facilitate mutual agreements by 2026. More from our correspondent.
In his address during the inaugural ceremony, the Prime Minister mentioned that Ministry of Port, Shipping and Waterways has created a list of 400 investable projects which have an investment potential of $31 billion. He said government is also focusing on the domestic shipbuilding and ship repair market. To encourage domestic shipbuilding, approval has been given to the Shipbuilding Financial Assistance Policy for Indian shipyards.
This will further strengthen our commitment of overall development of our maritime sector. The Maritime India Vision 2030 has been launched. It outlines the priorities of the government. The Sagar Manthan Mercantile Marine Domain Awareness Center has also been launched today. It is an information system for enhancing maritime safety, search and rescue capabilities, security and marine environment protection.
Mr. Modi said government has initiated holistic development of island infrastructure and ecosystem. Government is keen to promote the use of renewable energy in the maritime sector and is in the process of installing solar and wind-based power systems at all the major ports across the country.
We aim to increase usage of renewable energy to more than 60% of total energy by 2030 in 3 phases across Indian ports. India's long coastline awaits you. India's hard-working people await you. Invest in our ports.
Eminent speakers from several countries are attending the summit and exploring the potential business opportunities and investments in Indian maritime domain. Denmark is the partner country for the summit this year, and Danish Minister of Transport Benny Engelbrecht was present in the inaugural ceremony. With Anand Kumar, Anupam Mishra, AR News, Delhi.
India has exercised its right of reply at the United Nations Human Rights Council UNHRC to assert that Pakistan remains a haven for United Nations proscribed terrorists. India's representative at the Indian mission in UN Geneva, Pawan Bhade, said that Pakistan has the dubious distinction of providing pension to terrorists.
Pakistan's deliberate misuse of this august forum for its malicious propaganda against India, aimed at diverting the attention of the Council from its own serious violations of human rights, has remained a constant. The members of this Council are well aware that Pakistan has provided pensions to dreaded and listed terrorists out of state funds and has the dubious distinction of hosting the largest number of terrorists proscribed by the United Nations. Pakistani leaders have admitted the fact that it has become a factory for producing terrorists.
Mr. Bhade also stated that the Organization of Islamic Cooperation OIC has no locus standi to comment on Jammu and Kashmir, which is an integral part of India. He said it is regrettable that OIC continues to allow itself to be exploited by Pakistan to indulge in anti-India propaganda.
The auction of telecom spectrum ended today with total bids of 77,814 crore 80 lakh rupees for the airwaves. Telecommunications Secretary Anshu Prakash said incremental bids for 668.20 crore rupees were made today on the second and concluding day of the spectrum auction. The e-auction was based on simultaneous multiple round ascending auction or SMRA methodology. Mr. Prakash informed that bidding took place for spectrum in 800 MHz, 900 MHz, 1800 MHz, 2100 MHz and 2300 MHz bands. The total quantity of spectrum for which right to use has been acquired in these bands is 855.60 MHz. The participants did not bid in 700 MHz and 2500 MHz bands. 4 rounds of bidding, 2 each with stipulated activity levels of 80% and 90% took place yesterday. 2 rounds of bidding with stipulated activity level of 100% took place today. 3 bidders, Bharti Airtel Limited, Vodafone Idea Limited and Reliance Jio Infocom Limited participated in the auction. A total quantity of 2,308.80 MHz spectrum was put to auction, including spectrum that is expiring up to December this year. Spectrum usage charges for the spectrum acquired in this auction will be payable at the rate of 3% of adjusted gross revenue of the licensee, excluding revenue from wireline services. Ministry of Communications said the auction has concluded and the provisional results are subject to scrutiny and approval by the government. It said with the deployment of additional spectrum acquired in this auction in the networks of telecom service providers, the quality of service and customer experience of telecom consumers across the country are expected to improve.
With the issuance of notification for first phase of assembly elections in Assam and West Bengal today, the process of filing of nomination papers has begun. In Assam, notification for the 47 assembly constituencies has been issued. Assembly polls in the state will be held in 3 phases. The first phase of polling will be held on the 27th of this month. Polling will be held in 12 districts in this phase, mostly covering Upper Assam. BJP and Assam Gana Parishad leaders held another round of meetings in Guwahati on seat sharing today. Congress General Secretary Priyanka Gandhi Vadra launched the 5 Guarantees campaign for the upcoming Assam Assembly elections at a public rally in Tezpur today. The party is undertaking 5 guarantees for the election that includes a law that nullifies the CAA and 5 lakh government jobs. In West Bengal, notification for the first phase of assembly elections in 30 assembly constituencies has been issued. The additional CEO of the state, Sanjay Basu, told AIR News that the time of voting has been extended till 6:30 p.m. in the evening. This time, elections will be held in 8 phases in West Bengal. Filing of nominations for the first phase ends on the 9th of March. Meanwhile, all political parties have started their campaign for the upcoming polls in the state. Senior BJP leader and Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, Yogi Adityanath, today addressed a public meeting at Gajol in Malda and alleged that there has been no rule of law in the state. He accused the ruling TMC of siphoning the money sent by the centre for relief work after the cyclone Amphan. TMC leader and State Minister Bratya Basu has refuted the allegations and said that the UP government has failed to do justice to the people of the state. He was attending a roadshow in Purulia today. On the other hand, another round of discussions were held today among the Left Front, Congress and the Indian Secular Front regarding seat-sharing formula for the upcoming polls.
Bharatiya Janata Party National President J.P. Nadda has said that the farm reforms initiated by the central government will change the fortune of the farmers. Addressing the meeting of the party State Working Committee in Jaipur today, Mr. Nadda said that opposition leaders have only done politics from the last several years, while Prime Minister Narendra Modi took steps for the welfare of the farmers.
ये जो रिफॉर्म्स है, ये रिफॉर्म्स किसान की तस्वीर और तकदीर बदलेगा, इस बात की हमको गारंटी है। और उसके बावजूद भी प्रधानमंत्री ने कहा हम बातचीत के लिए तैयार हैं। प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कहा कि ये ऑप्शनल है, करना चाहो करो, न चाहो न करो, ये तुम्हारी मर्जी है। हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी ने स्पष्ट कहा है हम वार्तालाप के लिए तैयार हैं। आप इसमें से बताओ क्या सुधार करने की जरूरत हम करेंगे। किसान हमारे अन्नदाता है, उनको मुख्य धारा में शामिल करना हमारी जिम्मेवारी है।
In Gujarat, the ruling BJP has registered a clean sweep by winning all 31 district panchayats. The party has also won 75 out of 81 municipalities that went for polls. Congress won 4 municipalities, while 2 municipalities were won by others. BJP has also won 196 out of 229 Taluka Panchayat results declared so far. Congress won 33 Taluka Panchayats. Polling for 31 district panchayats, 231 Taluka Panchayats and 81 municipalities was held yesterday. According to the latest information, the BJP has won 2,027 seats of municipalities, 771 seats of district panchayats and 3,236 seats of Taluka Panchayats. Congress has won 375 seats of municipalities, 164 seats of district panchayats and 1,201 seats of Taluka Panchayats. Independents have won 168 seats of municipalities, 2 seats of district panchayats and 112 seats of Taluka Panchayats. Our correspondent reports that BJP workers are celebrating the huge victory by the party in local bodies elections. State Congress President Amit Chavda and the leader of the Congress Legislative Party, Paresh Dhanani, have resigned from their posts after the party's dismal performance in the polls. More from our Ahmedabad correspondent.
After losing the 6 municipal corporations from the urban voters, opposition Congress was expecting favourable results from the rural voters. But the ruling BJP has registered a big win in district panchayats, taluka panchayats and municipalities elections. At the other end, the outcome from the rural Gujarat is a big setback for the Congress. Gujarat Chief Minister Vijay Rupani and State BJP President C.R. Patil have termed this mandate in favour of party's development agenda. Meanwhile, State Congress President Amit Chavda and the leader of the Congress Legislative Party, Paresh Dhanani, have resigned after the party's dismal performance. According to the sources, Congress High Command has accepted the resignations and new leaders will be appointed by the month end. Yogesh Pandya, AIR News, Ahmedabad.
Bharatiya Janata Party today attacked the Congress for adopting unholy alliances with various parties in different states. The party said Congress is promoting the ideology of corruption, nepotism and religion and caste-based hatred among the people. Addressing the media in New Delhi today, BJP spokesperson Sambit Patra said the Congress is dependent on the alliances to maintain its relevance. He said all the alliances have not been made for good performance, good reforms or good governance. He said these alliances were made to maintain political relevance of the Gandhi family. Mr. Patras added that BJP does the politics of development instead of division.
You are listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi emphasizes on creating world-class maritime infrastructure through various reforms to achieve the vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat. At UNHRC, India says OIC has no locus standi to comment on Jammu and Kashmir, slams Pakistan for providing pensions to terrorists. Spectrum auction concludes. Total bids for more than 77,814 crore rupees received. Filing of nominations begins for first phase of assembly elections in Assam and West Bengal. In Gujarat, ruling BJP registers clean sweep by winning all 31 district panchayats. Over 1 crore 48 lakh beneficiaries administered COVID vaccine in the country so far. State Bank of India reduces home loan rates to 6.7%. Merchandise export figures recorded for last month in the country indicate robust growth in foreign trade sector. And in hockey, Indian men's team to take on hosts Germany in second match of European Tour Series in a short while from now. For quick news updates around the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
Welcome back to the evening news. The Union government today said that the country's present COVID-19 active caseload now consists of just 1.51% of the total positive cases and the recovery rate is more than 97%. Briefing media in New Delhi, Health Secretary Rajesh Bhushan said only 2 states, Maharashtra and Kerala, with more than 40,000 active cases contribute 75%.
We have 1.11 crore historical cases, out of which only 1.51% are active cases. Case positivity overall अगर देखें तो 5.11 है.
He said there has been a marginal increase in daily new cases in last 2 weeks. The Health Secretary said the government has deputed central teams to states including Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Punjab and Gujarat to help the state government in containing the surges in cases. On vaccination, Mr. Bhushan said more than 1.48 crore doses of the COVID-19 vaccine have been administered till 1 p.m. today. He said out of this, over 2.08 lakh doses have been given to people who are 45 to 59 years of age with comorbidities and to people above 60 years of age. The Health Secretary said there are 9 states and UTs where either 100% or more than 90% of first dose has been given to the registered healthcare workers. These include Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, Ladakh, Karnataka, Jharkhand and Odisha. He said 9 states and UTs have given second dose to more than 75% of eligible healthcare workers. Replying to a media question, Health Secretary said the centre has asked for a report from Karnataka government on the matter of a minister calling vaccinators to his home for vaccination. Chairman Empowered Group on COVID vaccination R.S. Sharma said since yesterday, 50 lakh registrations have been done on Co-Win portal for COVID-19 vaccination. On technical glitches, Mr. Sharma said people should register themselves only on Co-Win portal or through Arogya Setu app, which has got an extension for Co-Win and not on any other app. Mr. Sharma also informed that around 46 to 47,000 hospitals have been roped in for the vaccination of the third prioritized group. He said out of them, around 12,500 are private hospitals, 11,000 are Ayushman Bharat empanelled hospitals, and 800 are CGHS empanelled hospitals. Member Health in Niti Aayog, Dr. V.K. Paul said, with the launch of the vaccination for third prioritized group, the vaccination coverage has become more wide, which will help in breaking the chain of transmission of infection. He urged people to take both the doses compulsorily at the scheduled time, as without the second dose, the whole vaccination process will not be complete. In view of surge in cases in certain states, Dr. Paul advised people to avoid gatherings and follow COVID-appropriate behavior. He said it is a matter of satisfaction that India has the least COVID-19 mortality rate in the world.
Defence Minister Rajnath Singh was administered with the first dose of COVID-19 vaccine in New Delhi today. He was administered the vaccine at Army Hospital Research and Referral in New Delhi this evening. The News Services Division of All India Radio, in its bilingual live phone-in program today, will bring you a special discussion program on COVID-19. Dr. Suryakant, Professor Pulmonary Medicine, KGMC Lucknow, will participate in the discussion. This can be heard tonight on FM Gold channel and additional frequencies from 9:30 p.m. onwards. Listeners can ask questions to the experts on toll-free telephone number 1800-115767. You can also ask questions on telephone number 011-2331-4444 and post queries on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts by hashtag AskAIR. This program will also be available on our website newsonair.com and on our YouTube channel News on AIR Official. You can also follow us on the News on AIR app for updates.
The State Bank of India has reduced the home loan interest rates to 6.7%. The bank has said that the interest rate of 6.70% will be charged for loans up to 75 lakh rupees and 6.75% for loans above 75 lakh rupees. The interest concession is based on the loan amount and CIBIL score of the borrower. The offer will be available till 31st of March 2021, and the lender is also given 100% waiver on the processing fee. Customers can also apply online on the ease of their home via YONO app to get additional interest concession of 5 basis points. On the eve of International Women's Day, a special 5 basis points concession is being made available to the women borrowers. The merchandise export figures recorded for the last month in the country suggest a robust growth in the foreign trade sector, with a total merchandise export of $27.67 billion last month compared to $27.74 billion in February last year. The gap between the corresponding export figures have reduced to stand at merely 0.25%. Export figures for rice, oil meals, iron ore and other cereals have recorded a positive growth in the last month compared to the corresponding period last year. Ministry of Commerce and Industry has informed that in the same time frame, import of silver, newsprint, fertilizers, coal and coke and leather products have shown significant reduction in their numbers. With India's overall merchandise imports of $40.55 billion recorded in the last month, the trade deficit figures for February month stand at $12.88 billion. Benchmark domestic stocks today climbed around 1% in sync with gains in the global equity markets. The BSE Sensex regained 50,000 mark, while the NSE Nifty reclaimed 14,900 level. The rupee also appreciated 18 paise against the US currency. A report from our Business World.
Sensex closed 447 points, a 0.9% up at 50,297, and the NSE Nifty surged 158 points, a 1.07% to finish at 14,919 points. Oil prices fell, extending losses of last week amid concerns that OPEC may agree to increase global supply in a meeting this week. In intraday trade, Brent crude prices were trading around $63.50 per barrel. And at the foreign exchange market, the rupee weakened by 18 paise against the US dollar to settle at 73 rupees and 37 paise. Arjun Chaudhary for AIR News.
Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal has said that Government of India has identified the toy sector as one of the champion sectors with a long-term vision and plan to develop toy clusters in the country. Speaking at the closing ceremony of India Toy Fair this evening, Mr. Goyal said the mission is not only to make India Atmanirbhar in toys, but also to become a global player with toys made and developed in India, helping create brand India across the world. International Women's Day falls on 8th of March. In this context, All India Radio News brings you stories of women achievers from diverse fields. India has the maximum number of female commercial pilots as compared to other developed nations. 10th of January 2021 was a historic day in the Indian aviation industry. The all-women cockpit crew of Air India flew over North Pole. It was the longest non-stop flight from San Francisco to Bengaluru. More from our correspondent.
Captain Niveza Bhasin has many firsts in her name. She was a part of the first all-women cockpit crew. Captain Bhasin says earlier people were apprehensive in flying with female pilots. She says over the years the situation has changed a lot. Notably, India has the maximum number of commercial female pilots.
In 1984, there were just 2 women pilots when I joined Indian Airlines. I joined it as a 3rd woman pilot on the Fokker Friendship aircraft. But today, India has surged ahead of the entire world in the percentage of women airline pilots. Indian Airlines started the trend. We set the ball rolling, and then Air India followed in the year 1988. Of course, it was a very, very small community of us girls, and definitely it was really lonely for us. It was a very difficult life. With time, I think our colleagues got used to us flying alongside them. There was a comfort factor. The passengers got used to seeing women pilots in uniform. And now we are so many of us, I don't think it makes any difference to either the crew or the passengers to see women pilots flying.
Diksha Saxena, All India Radio News, Delhi.
On to sports. In hockey, the second match of the European Tour Series between Indian men's team and hosts Germany is underway at Krefeld. On Sunday, the Indian men's team, led by P.R. Srijesh, put up a scintillating show in the first of their 4-match series as they outclassed Germany 6-1. It was their first international match in over 12 months. On March 6th and 8th, India will take on Great Britain at Antwerp in Belgium before wrapping up the 17-day tour. In badminton, Indian mixed doubles pair of Pranav Jerry Chopra and N. Sikki Reddy will clash with England's Marcus Ellis and Lawrence Smith in first round of Swiss Open tournament in Basel today. In another mixed doubles match, India's Satvik Sairaj Ranki Reddy and Ashwini Ponnappa will take on Hafiz Faisal and Gloria Emmanuel Widjaja of Indonesia.
Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. National capital Delhi is likely to have mist in the morning. The temperature will hover between 14 and 30 degrees Celsius. Mumbai will have mainly clear sky. The minimum temperature will be 22 degrees Celsius, while the maximum is expected to be around 35 degrees. Chennai is expected to have partly cloudy sky. The temperature will vary between 23 and 34 degrees Celsius. Kolkata may also witness mist in the morning and partly cloudy sky later. The city will observe minimum temperature of 22 degrees Celsius and a maximum of around 36 degrees. Srinagar will have partly cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunderstorm or dust storm. Temperature will hover between 3 and 14 degrees Celsius. Jammu will have mainly clear sky becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. The minimum temperature will be 11 degrees Celsius while the maximum will be around 27 degrees. Leh is expected to have partly cloudy sky. The minimum temperature will be around -9 degrees Celsius while the maximum will be around 6 degrees. Gilgit will have generally cloudy sky. The temperature will hover between 5 and 18 degrees Celsius. In Muzaffarabad, the sky will be partly cloudy sky, becoming generally cloudy towards afternoon or evening or night. The temperature will vary between 8 and 23 degrees Celsius. In Dehradun, the minimum temperature will be 10 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 29 degrees.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi emphasizes on creating world-class maritime infrastructure through various reforms to achieve the vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat. At UNHRC, India says OIC has no locus standi to comment on Jammu and Kashmir. Slams Pakistan for providing pensions to terrorists. Spectrum auction concludes. Total bids for more than 77,814 crore rupees received. Filing of nomination begins for first phase of assembly elections in Assam and West Bengal. In Gujarat, ruling BJP registers clean sweep by winning all 31 district panchayats. Over 1 crore 48 lakh beneficiaries administered COVID vaccine in the country so far. State Bank of India reduces home loan rates to 6.7%. Merchandise export figures recorded for last month in the country indicate robust growth in foreign trade sector. And in men's hockey, India take on hosts Germany in second match of European Tour Series. And with that, we end the evening news. Good night.